From the Collat School of Business on the campus of UAB in downtown Birmingham, it's Alabama Upstarts. Alabama Upstarts. Entrepreneurs, inventors, and startups, this is your chance to meet face-to-face with a real venture capitalist. Today's venture capital judges are president of Soldier One and past president of multiple companies for over the last 20 years, a mentor and strong supporter of startups in Alabama, Lisa Williams. Real estate property management, medical manufacturer, award-winning small businessman, Bill Turner. Alabama Upstarts is sponsored by Mid-South Bank, the friendliest and most helpful bank in town. Let's meet our first contestant.
Welcome to Alabama Upstarts. I'm Joy Morris. Today's show is going to be amazing, but things are going to get a little bit different. Now, $1,000 are up for grabs, so it's up to you to vote for your favorite contestant. Now, a QR code is going to be shown on your screen after each contestant. Our first contestant today is Jimmy and Michael Zabala. Let's take a look behind the scenes at their business.
Hi, my name is Michael Zabala, and I'm an assistant professor of mechanical engineering at Auburn University. I'm also the director of the Auburn University Biomechanical Engineering Lab, and that is how ExoArmor got its start. In the fall of 2019, my next door neighbor and head athletic trainer for Auburn football, Robbie Stewart, gave me a call. He wanted to know if we could use the lab to produce a custom guard to protect an injured hand of one of his athletes. We brought the athlete into the lab and used our $25,000 3D scanner to scan his injured hand. From that, we created a computer model that we then 3D printed to produce a customized guard for the athlete to wear on his hand underneath his glove. He wore it, and during the first play while he was on the field, he scored a touchdown. We went on to produce other gear for other athletes at Auburn. Word eventually got out, and an athletic trainer at West Virginia by the name of Zach Foster gave me a call. He wanted to know if we could make something for one of his injured athletes. We figured out how to do the 3D scanning with a smartphone, no longer needing the use of the expensive $25,000 3D scanner. We made gear for his athlete, and he wore it the very next Saturday. And that is how ExoArmor began. Since then, we've developed an ExoArmor specific 3D scanning app that is used by athletic trainers across the country. We combine this with a 3D printer that we put on site in their facility. They then have the ability to scan athletes as needed, and we can send 3D models to their 3D printer on site. We're able to turn around gear fast enough that if an athlete is injured in the first quarter of a game, we can have them geared by the beginning of the second half. Our main focus has been on athletics, but since then we've also expanded out into the orthopedics markets as well as various military applications.
We'll be right back with more contestants on Alabama Upstarts. Ready for the next contestant on Alabama Upstarts?
Hi, we're ExoArmor. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about our business. Jimmy's going to talk a little bit about our financials. Our purpose is to return athletes to the field from injury as quickly and as safely as possible. We do that by combining 3D scanning capability on an app available to be downloaded on smartphones with 3D printing technology. We got our start through my other position, which is the director of the Biomechanical Engineering Lab at Auburn University. My neighbor, the head athletic trainer at Auburn football, called me and said he had an athlete with an injury that he needed help with. That athlete had a broken hand. We made him a guard to cover his hand, and he went on to wear it in the game and score a touchdown. From there, we developed the technology out, and now we can be found in 3 different athletics facilities across the country and 1 NFL program. The way we do this is we put a 3D printer on site for our customers. We give them access to the scanning app, and when an athlete is injured, they scan the area of the injury, such as the shoulder. We process the scan over the cloud and submit the print job to come out of their printer on the other end. Some prints can take as little as 20 minutes, some can take as many as 3 hours, but the speed at which we're able to print allows us to provide up to even during game service for these teams. We want to expand into other markets. We've explored means of expanding into high schools, and we have sent gear to high schools thus far. We're also interested in exploring other markets such as the orthopedic or potential applications throughout the military.
Today we are looking to raise $600,000, and we would like our investors to be people that are able to advise us, to help us to go into different markets with knowledge. So not just the funds, which are also important to us. And for that, we are willing to give 10% of equity.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. What an amazing idea here. I like that it's on the spot, and the applications for military soldiers, I think it's a great thing. That's a great possibility. So let me ask you this. With respect to $600K, what do you think you will spend that money on?
Mainly, we are looking for, we need full-time employees. Right now, we're only 5 of us. I am the only full-time employee. We have students, we have Michael, who's also a professor, so we need full-time employees. That's the key thing. In addition, one of them should be, or at least 2, 3 people should be in sales, dedicated 100% to sales. Some of that also have to go into some of the marketing and promoting of our company and our branding. We would like to do some overhauling there. So that's basically where the funds will go.
Using the 3D printing, your scanning tool, how does that work?
Well, it utilizes the Face ID technology common to all iPhones, Model 10 and after. And we also will send out what we call a mirror clip, which is a device that clips onto someone's phone. They open up our app once they download it, and then they can take it and they can scan that person, whether it be your shoulder or your hand or your shin or whatever it is that you want converted to a protective model like this. So this right here was made specifically for my shoulder. I actually scanned myself with my left hand, so that's possible.
Is there a licensing fee for this application?
There is. So our current offering is for $15,000 a year. You can have unlimited prints on site with the on-site model. And this is what's being done by a number of universities that are already working with us. We have alternative models as well. We've explored offering individual products to sale online, and we've looked at offering ways to allow entities to have a 3D printer and then to print and pay us on a per print basis. So that's another structure that we're exploring, and essentially we're trying to find the best fit for our customers, and we have found those that want each of those 3 options.
So are you patenting the process or the manufacturing process? Which one are you patenting?
Well, we actually have 2.
Okay.
Two patents that we've written, and one of them focuses on the manufacturing itself, and the other is the conversion of the scan from the app to this 3D printable model.
Okay. Now, I'm still stuck on the licensing of the 3D. Is that something you developed, or did you purchase that from someone else, or how did that work?
We developed that. So we developed our own app, and we developed our own in-house software that converts the scan to the 3D model.
Now, how about, you said they put padding and gel on the back of the implant. Is that something that you patent also, or how does that work?
Yes, that is a part of the manufacturing process.
Right.
Yes, and so that particular process would be done in some cases by the athletic trainer, but if we're making gear for, say, high schools, as Jimmy discussed, then that's something that we would do at our facility. Once we 3D print, we would adhere the foam liner and package it and send it out to the customer.
So to grow this, what's the one thing that you need besides the money?
Marketing.
Okay, thank you.
That is an impressive product. How do you guys feel about this?
Well, we're very excited. We've got some momentum lately. We've gained a number of customers, and we've seen more interest, and we're excited about growing and figuring out new markets that we can find for application for this. Sports has been the biggest for us, but we have found that we think there are other ways for us to grow.
So medical community, things of that nature.
Military, and we feel very excited, but it's also a big boost of energy for us, because you need to go out every day and create the business, and it's just excited to do that.
That is exciting. Can I ask, did this start between you two, or how did this really start up?
Well, this began out of my lab at Auburn University, and out of the equipment that I had in my lab, and 2 of our co-founders are Jake Larson and Kyle Castellano, and they were integral in this process as well, in writing the software to do the conversion process, as well as determining the way to print strong and fast. And so it began out of more of an academic exercise working with Auburn Athletics, and then we determined that we could expand and grow from there, and so we founded the LLC, and that's where we are.
I joined the business just by asking questions. I asked so many questions related to finance. This guy said, you better come on board.
So see, no question is too dumb to ask, right?
Exactly. The questions are good.
Well, you guys have done wonderful, and I know that this is going to be a huge success for you. Make sure that you guys look at the screen and look for the QR code and vote for your favorite contestant. This is a great product, I have to admit.
We'll be right back with more contestants on Alabama Upstarts. Here's our next contestant on Alabama Upstarts.
Welcome back to Alabama Upstarts. I'm your host, Joy Morris. Remember, there's going to be a QR code on your screen. Make sure you vote for your favorite contestant. Now, our next contestant is Claire Crayons, and we want to look at her business behind the scenes. So let's take a look.
Hi, my name is Dr. Claire Crayons, and I'm an acute care pediatric nurse practitioner and an assistant professor at Auburn University. I'm also an evidence-based practice quality improvement specialist, and I've been a nurse for over 12 years. My background is in pediatric cardiology, and I've worked with kids that have heart disease for my entire career. During my time working with kids, I've learned that engaging them in the process of education is equally as important as engaging our parents. And when we can do it in a fun and interactive game platform, then we tend to get more buy-in and more interest from both the kid and their family. And with that, ultimately, we have an improved quality of life for all the things that they need to modify about their lifestyle due to their illness. I've also been able to trial this same type of game with adults and have very similar results. We're able to truly partner with our patients where they are, using their experiences and fun in order to improve their health outcomes. I'm married and live in Auburn. We have 2 children. I have a 7-year-old who's in 2nd grade and a 4-year-old who's in preschool. We also have a 1-year-old dog named Uinta, and she's an Australian Shepherd Poodle mix. My family loves to be outside. We are into hiking and camping, snow skiing and water skiing, love being at the lake and in the mountains. Thank you very much for being here today, and I hope you enjoy learning about well blocks.
Hi, my name is Dr. Claire Crayons, and I'm an assistant professor at Auburn University School of Nursing. I'm here to tell you about Well Blocks, an innovative patient education experience for patients as they're in the hospital to learn about their health, their lifestyle modifications needed as they get discharged home, and have that information transition with them into the community and home environment. Typically today, when you are discharged from a hospital, you receive a packet of information that may or may not leave your car as you are on your way out the door and get into your home. But within that packet, and there's a bunch of information about your health and what you need to do in order to modify your lifestyle, when to go back to the physician and why, what is an emergency that's going to need you to go into the emergency room. So instead of having that in a packet, I want that on a phone. So currently I have a game-based platform, so think Candyland and the trail to get to the King Castle at the end, where each of those tiles, each of those blocks provides detailed information on the individual lifestyle modifications that you require. So for example, heart failure. If you have heart failure, you need to weigh yourself every morning. And you can track that information, and the way that you weigh yourself and why it's important is housed in one individual tile. So as you click through the different tiles or the different blocks on this map, then you're immersed in the information that you need. I've been able to trial the paper copy in a number of different hospital facilities around the country, and we have great results. And I've also been able to pilot that with a website and the game board, the physical game board, and as well as a website at one facility, and we've seen very similar results. And so we see that we have a decreased length of stay. We're able to discharge our patients out of the hospital sooner. We also have a decreased patient cost and a decreased readmission rate. So why is that important? Readmissions, if you come back to the hospital within 30 days of that original diagnosis and discharge, if you come back for the same reason, the hospital cannot reimburse or cannot bill for any of those services. So it's like a free stay. And that free stay costs the hospital about $15,000. Now for all patients that have chronic illnesses that are discharged from the hospital, about 17 to 18% of those patients are coming back. So a lot of patients are coming back to the hospital, and we're not able to bill for those services. So it's quite a big market. In addition, hospitals receive penalties if their readmission rates are high. So we have all of those combined. We are trying to decrease those costs and also improve the quality of life and the lifestyle modifications for our patients themselves. And we're able to see that with this platform. So what I'm asking you guys today, I'm looking for about $30,000 to help transition what I have in a website into an app-based platform for about 2% of the company. But what I really need more than the money is help. I'm a nurse, I'm not in business, and I have some contacts and I have quite a bit of interest in different facilities, but kind of moving to that next step, having a revenue officer, having a technology officer will really be able to enhance this company and move forward. So thank you very much for allowing me to present to you today, and I welcome any questions.
Have you any HIPAA concerns with this?
Yeah, great question. So the way that the platform is designed, all of the information that we're using is publicly sourced. So there's no patient data that has to interface on the patient side or on the hospital side. It is all things that are like in the National Library of Medicine or any of those like online platforms. Everything's evidence-based. That's my specialty. So it's evidence-based and reputable sources, but the way that you're linked to that information and you interact with that information, there's no patient data that would be collected or shared.
Who actually pays for this app? Is it the hospital or is it the patient?
Yeah, great question again. So the hospitals would be purchasing the app as a subscription basis, either for an individual diagnosis. So for example, heart failure, about 32% of all Americans have heart failure. So that's usually one of the most frequently discharged patients out of hospitals. Other ones are like orthopedic surgery, asthma, COPD, things like that. So you can either purchase a subscription for the individual diseases and diagnoses for that patient population, or you can order buy a subscription for everything. So every patient that's leaving the hospital can have a board that is custom to them and what their disease and diagnoses are.
Okay, I'm the hospital.
Yeah.
How is this going to save me any money?
Absolutely, that's another great question. So it saves you money in a number of ways. So one is length of stay. If we're able to get patients out of the hospital quicker for the same, so if you have heart failure, the hospital gets a lump sum of money to care for that patient. So if you're able to get the patient out of the hospital quicker, then you have cost savings there. You can now have that bed for a separate patient for another billable service. The same thing on the flip side, if you have a patient coming back to the hospital within that 30-day mark for their readmission rate, then that bed is occupied by someone you cannot charge for. You can't bill for services of heart failure a second time only after 10 or 15 days. So it's a patient would be in that room otherwise that you could bill for those services. So you see that on both sides. And then the last category that are metrics that we trend for national reporting statistics and standards is patient experience and patient satisfaction. And we were able to see that the game board and the website alone can flip a hospital from the bottom tier in patient satisfaction to the top 7% in their reporting area. So now they're able to have, it's almost like a 4 or 5 star hospital just based on the experience of the patients. So you can see that in a number of ways that hospitals are benefiting both from financials, but then also from that reputation. And as you have those increases, then your insurers are more likely to refer patients to your facility in order to have their care provided.
Sounds very interesting. Sounds very interesting. So.
Thank you.
Great idea. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I appreciate your time.
Such a great idea, Claire. What made you come up with this?
Yeah, great question. So I've been a nurse for many years. I graduated from UAB actually in 2004, and I've worked with kids ever since. And one thing that we find trying to educate kids on what their new diagnosis, especially for those that have chronic illnesses, that it's hard for them to understand and it's hard for them to follow and stay paying attention. And so if we can integrate the education in a game and we can use it and have prizes and like who's going to get to the castle first, if we frame it that way, we see that they're much more engaged in that concepts. So after trialing it with a number of different kids, I wanted to see if this also worked with adults. I mean, adults like to play games too.
Sure do.
And it did. And then we had great results. We had great responses from our adult patients who thought that it was a great use of paperwork. That was one of the quotes that we got. So they were very invested in understanding, okay, I need to learn all of this before I go home now, and I'd rather be at home than in the hospital, so let's get going. And so from there, WellBlocks kind of was created.
That is really amazing. And so it begs the question, when this takes off, are you going to quit nursing?
I don't know. That's a good question. I will always be a nurse, and even if this takes off, I'll still be nursing. I do like the research and innovation side of the business and of what I teach as well. And nursing needs to be at the table when we talk about healthcare needs. Oftentimes it's the physician group or it's an executive, but the nurses are the ones that are truly touching our patients day in and day out. They're the ones that the nurses trust. When you look at the most trusted profession for years, it's always been nursing. So if we can continue that mindset and having nurses at the table, I think that's the way that we need to go. And that's the avenue that I want to be involved in, even if it's from an advocacy standpoint. I will always introduce myself as a nurse.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Now remember, QR code is going to be on that screen. Vote for your favorite. Vote for Claire.
Alabama Upstarts, providing a runway and launch pad for Alabama's entrepreneurs. Today's $1,000 winner compliments of Mercedes-Benz of Dothan and Mike Schmitz. You could be the next winner with your business idea. Apply at alabama-upstarts.com.